everybody. Today I would like to share with you a tutorial on how to do core spinning. Core spinning is actually one of the first ways I learned how to spin, and it's a really fun way to incorporate crazy things with texture and sparkle, even locks, into your spinning fiber. And you do it around a core. So you could use a strong yarn, cotton, wool. Some people use mohair. Anything that has just a little bit of a grip to it, so it's not too slippery. This, I think it's a pure wool with a little bit of grip to it, so it's a little fuzzy. It's not really slippery. Superwash yarn isn't great for core spinning on top of, because your fiber slips. But I'll get it set up and I'll show you the basics of how you can core spin and what kinds of fun things you can add to your yarn. All right, so I have my lead yarn, or my strand, running through my spinning wheel here, and I'm going to take it and make a slip knot. This is going to hold my core yarn in place. So here it is. Place that in there and pull it tight. And that's going to secure my little core yarn. Okay, so core, just as simple as this will become the core to our spinning yarn. All of the fiber will go around it, and you won't see this once you're done. So let me grab some of the fiber and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so first, about your core yarn. Aside from a yarn that's strong enough to hold a little bit of pull, you don't want something that's going to pull apart really easily. You want it to be strong enough to be pulled on a tiny bit. You also want something that's going to be either long enough or that you can add to in case you want to make it longer. So you don't want to have just 20 yards of core fiber when you are trying to spin 100 yards of yarn. You want to make sure you can keep adding to it. So I have a ball here that I'll spin from, and that'll be enough for this. This is just a sample of fiber that I got that has some sparkle in it. It's super soft. It's got some pretty chunks of silk in there. So to start, I'm going to take some of it, just a handful, to get going. I don't want to spin directly from this because I will probably end up getting too much onto my core at once. So I'm just going to start with this and show you how it goes. So the first thing I'll do is flatten it out a little bit in my hand, and I'm going to place it underneath my core. Okay, then I'm going to get the wheel going, and you will see it start to pull onto the core. Can you see that happening? So I can use my hand to hold it and pull back a little bit and keep this rolling onto, the fiber rolling onto the core. So do you see how it's just rolling up onto it? So let's get a little closer there so you can see. If I hold the core straight back, then my fiber is going to roll onto it. If I hold it to the side, you see how the core starts rolling into the fiber? So let me go back a little bit. There. So I want the fiber to roll onto the core, so the core is being held straight back towards me. And you can see I'm getting a little bit too much on there now. You can get as much or as little as you want. You can make this an artsy yarn that has bumps and lumps, and or you can do it nice and fine. So let me thin this out a little bit more, and then you can see. Oh. Now, you can also take a look at your core yarn and see if it's S-twisted or Z-twisted. And if it's twisted in an S direction and you spin in an S direction, you may want to spin in a Z direction instead. And that way you're not over-twisting your core so that it becomes really kinky. So let me pull that back so you can see all of this. So you see how kinky this is. So I can go back and untwist it a little bit afterwards by running it through in the opposite direction. All right, so I actually started it back up in the other direction so it was easier to spin. And we'll get some more of this started. So now it's going to end up going on top. My fiber's going on top because I hold it with my left hand. And I'm just going to ease that fiber with my, I hold it with my right hand. So I'm easing that fiber on with my left and just allowing it to lay on top of the core. And I've got some little locks going in and some sparkle going in. So you can see I'm just holding the core in my hand down here and just allowing it to slide through my hand as I lay the fiber on top. It takes a little practice, but I think you'll find that it becomes fairly easy. And it's a lot of fun. And when you get the hang of it, you can start adding things like ribbons or locks in full form, or I even know someone who shredded up money and would add little pieces of dollar bills to it. And if you feel like, so right here, you can see just a tiny bit of it isn't covered. You might not be able to see that on the camera, but it's a little white. I can see it here. I can just stop and go back and add a little bit more to that spot. There we go. And if I want to add in some locks, I have a few here. You just take the end that is that was attached or cut from the animal. So this is the tip of the lock. And I'm going to take the edge that was cut and just widen that out a little bit. And do the same thing as I would with the fiber, placing it on top or below, depending on which hand you hold it with. And I'll place it on top and just let it start spinning up. And maybe I just let it spin a little bit, and then this can hang loose. And then I've got some locks spun on there. You want to have your tension set so that your core yarn is pulled taut, but not so tight that it's pulling away from you. And I think it's fun when you get started just to let it flow. Don't be precious over making a super smooth yarn or anything, especially if you're working with a lot of textured fiber. Let it come out bumpy and lumpy and see what you think. So you can see the core is being held tight by these fingers. It's flowing through my hand. That my left hand is controlling the core yarn and my right hand is controlling the fiber. Now once you get the hang of this, you can spin on other things like wire. So for this next part, I'm going to use 26 gauge craft wire. I only have a little bit left, but this is fairly thin, flexible wire, and it's also small enough to go through the orifice of the spinning wheel. So I'm going to unravel a little bit. It's easiest to use this when you have it wrapped around something small and you don't have a massive amount of it, because it's going to need to uncoil from here as you are spinning. So I'm going to pull a little bit and just let it hang between my legs. And then I'm just using the yarn that I was working on, and I've made another little slip knot, and I'm going to put that wire through it and attach the end. I'll just give it a little twist, okay? Now this is my core. So, same thing. Take a little chunk of fiber, and this time, you see where I've attached it. This is the piece that I've twisted and is hanging onto the loop. I'm going to tuck a little bit of fiber under that, because if I don't, it's going to want to slip. So, I'm going to take, here's this piece of fiber or a piece of wire. I'm tucking a little fiber in there and getting it caught up in there. Give a little twist and get it stuck, and then I will start spinning. And let that wire start going, and then look, I've caught the fiber on the wire. And I'm core spinning on the wire. Now the fun thing about this is you can make them into bracelets or necklaces or earrings or anything that you would craft from wire, but it is spun with your fiber. And below, in between my legs, is the little spool of wire that's just kind of spinning like crazy as I spin this. You can't put a whole lot of this onto your spinning wheel because it does not spin up easily onto your bobbin. So mostly it's done in small bits, but you can even take beads and string them on the wire first and then roll it up, pull one of the beads up and get it caught in the fiber as you go. And when you're finished, you can either just cut it or you can take it and bend it back and forth a few times and it will just break on its own. I will take a bit of the fiber and wrap it up in with the wire so that the tip does not poke you. So I've just twisted some of the fiber over the wire, and now I'll bend it up again. And there's my end. So let me take this off the bobbin and I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so for the wire that you core spun, I usually wrap it up around something like a glass bottle or a jar, or this is just a spritzer bottle, so that it doesn't, so it can keep its form. Okay, so that's been wrapped up, and here it is. So we can make this into whatever we want. As an example, this is a bracelet that was core spun with some fiber that I dyed with turmeric, and I put a few beads on it. And I wrapped it up around a small mason jar, and then I bound the ends, and now it's a cool looking bracelet. You could do the same thing into a necklace. You could make hair bands. You could do whatever you like that you would otherwise do with wire. But this has been spun with your own fiber. And then for the regular yarn that has been core spun over this yarn core, you just skein that up as you would your other hand spun yarn.
If you spin your core yarn smoothly and evenly, then you can use it just as you would any other yarn in your knitting or crochet. If you've spun an art yarn with lumps and bumps and coils, then you might want to use it as a border or an accentuation to a pattern. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial.